Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 9, Prayers of Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. It's a beautiful chapter. This is. Yesterday we have seen there are 5 sections in this chapter. And the first section, text 1 to 5, will be describing about Lord's form. So, how Lord's form is supremely knowable form, seed of all incarnations, and the form is non different than the Supreme Brahman, and it is most auspicious and dwells in the hearts of the devotees who smell the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord coming through the wind of the scriptures. So, very beautiful prayers Lord Brahmaji is going to offer here. So, we come to text 1. ब्रह्मोवाच ज्ञातोऽसि मे यद्य शुचिरान्ननुदेहभाजाम् न्यध्यायते भगवते गतिरत्यवद्यम् नान्यत्वदस्ति भगवन्नपि तन्न शुद्धम् मायागुणव्यतिकरात् यत उर्विभासि. Translation.
Lord Brahma said, O my Lord, today, after many, many years of penance, I have come to know about you. Oh, how unfortunate the embodied living entities are that they are unable to know your personality. My Lord, you are the only knowable object because there is nothing supreme beyond you. If there is anything supposedly superior to you, it is not the absolute. You exist as the supreme by exhibiting the creative energy of matter. Purport. The highest peak of the ignorance of the living entities who are conditioned by material bodies is that they are unaware of the supreme cause of the cosmic manifestation. Different people have different theories regarding the supreme cause, but none of them are genuine. The only supreme cause is Vishnu, and the intervening impediment is the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord has employed his wonderful material energy in manifesting many, many wonderful distractions in the material world. And the conditioned souls, illusioned by the same energy, are thus unable to know the supreme cause. The most stalwart scientists and philosophers, therefore, cannot be accepted as wonderful. They only appear wonderful because they are instruments in the hands of the illusory energy of the Lord. Under illusion, the general mass of the people denies the existence of the Supreme Lord and accept the foolish products of illusory energy as supreme. One can know the supreme cause, the personality of Godhead, by the causeless mercy of the Lord, which is bestowed upon Lord's pure devotees like Brahma and those in his disciplic succession. By acts of penance only was Lord Brahma able to see the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and by realization only could he understand the Lord as he is. Brahma was extremely satisfied upon observing the magnificent beauty and opulence of the Lord, and he admitted that nothing can be comparable to him. Only by penance can one appreciate the beauty and opulence of the Lord. And when one is acquainted with that beauty and opulence, he is no longer attracted by any other. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.59, Param Drishtva Nivartante. Foolish human beings who do not endeavor to investigate the supreme beauty and opulence of the Lord are here condemned by Brahma. It is imperative that every human being try for such knowledge, and if anyone does not do so, his life is spoiled. Anything that is beautiful and opulent in the material sense is enjoyed by those living entities who are like crows. Crows always engage in picking at rejected garbage, whereas the white ducks do not mix with the crows. Rather, they take pleasure in transparent lakes with lotus flowers surrounded by beautiful orchids. Both crows and ducks are undoubtedly birds by birth, but they are not of the same feather. Hare Krishna.
So Brahmaji, he begins to pray. Jnatu sime. Lord Brahma said, after very, very long penance, I am able to know you, O Supreme Lord. Otherwise, without such penance, how unfortunate it is that the living entities, they are unable to know you. You are the supremely knowable object, the form, and there is nothing which is more superior to you, and you are the absolute truth. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the purport, there are three major themes. First, Prabhupada writes about ignorance of the conditioned souls and how, because they are unaware of the supreme cause, people put forward different theories as the supreme. We have already seen that there are 70 plus theories about the origin of the universe and Anishwaran. Bhagavad Gita talks about this. That how Jagadahur Anishwarah. People are bewildered by the actions of the material energy, and Prabhupada says the impediment is the illusory energy, Swabhaviki, and it is performing such amazing actions so flawlessly that the person feels, oh, it is all happening automatically. And at times, the illusory energy empowers certain people to come up with certain gadgets or activities or thought process which will appear fantastic and amazing, but it is only the display of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada says sometimes the stalwarts and the philosopher may appear very great, but it is actually the illusory energy which is make them do so, act so, or propose something like that. Further, Srila Prabhupada writes that the realization is possible only by mercy and penance. Here, Brahmaji has performed very severe austerity, and penance is required. Durapa, help tapasa, kriya vaikuntha vartmasu. We have seen this previously, the verse that alpa tapasa will never achieve the Supreme Lord. So penance is required. At the same time, only penance is not enough. The penance has to be performed in the devotional in the parampara system. And therefore, the disciplic succession is very important. Here, Brahmaji, he is extremely satisfied upon observing the magnificent beauty and the opulence of the Supreme Lord. And this is possible only by penance and compassion. Both two fingers are there, right? What are these two fingers represent? One is prayatna and another is krupa. So both are required, prayatna and krupa. Just like we see this in Damodar Leela. Both prayatna and krupa is required. And what is the effect of such a darshan? The effect of such a darshan is that param drishtva nivartate. The effect is one will no longer be attracted with material contamination. Now, in the next paragraph, here Srila Prabhupada, he writes about the condemning the material enjoyment. The foolish human beings, Prabhupada says, do not endeavor to investigate the supreme beauty and the opulence. And therefore, they are simply, because they are not aware of the supreme beauty and opulence, they are interested in the material beauty and opulence, and which is like the crows who are interested in the garbage bin, and whereas the ducks, although both are the birds, but the ducks will take the pleasure somewhere else and the crows will take the pleasure somewhere else. Their literature will be different, their subject matter will be different, although both are birds. Similarly, devotees of the Lord, especially the pure devotees of the Lord, they will dwell in the beautiful pastimes of the Lord in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, whereas the crow-like mentality will be picking up the rejected garbage and try to enjoy there. Although both are the birds of, both are the birds, but they are not of the same feather. Text 2. रूपं यदेतत् अवबोधरसोदयेन शश्वत् सत् अनुग्रहाय आदौ गृहीतमवतार शत एकबीजम् रत्नाभिपद्म भवनात् aham abhirasam. Translation.
Translation: the form which I see is eternally free from material contamination and has advented to show mercy to the devotees as a manifestation of internal potency. This incarnation is the origin of many other incarnations, and I am born from the lotus flower grown from your navel home. Purport: the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Shiva, the executive heads of the three modes of material nature, passion, goodness, and ignorance, are all generated from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who is described herein by Brahma. From the Kishoradakshya Vishnu, many Vishnu incarnations expand at different ages in the duration of the cosmic manifestation. They are expanded only for the transcendental happiness of the pure devotees. The incarnations of Vishnu, who appear at different ages and times, are never to be compared to the conditional souls. The Vishnu Tattvas are not to be compared to deities like Brahma and Shiva, nor are they on the same level. Anyone who compares them is called a pasandi or infidel. Tamasa mentioned herein is the material nature, and the spiritual nature has a completely separate existence from Tama. Therefore, spiritual nature is called avabodha rasa or avarodha rasa. Avarodha means that which completely nullifies. In the transcendence, there is no chance of material contact by any means. Brahma is the first living being, and therefore he mentions his birth from the lotus flower generated from the abdomen of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
Now Brahmaji says, the form which I see is the form is eternally free from any material contamination. It is advented to bestow the mercy. It is the origin of all incarnations. And now Brahmaji strikes a personal connection with the Lord and he says, and I am personally born from the navel of the Lord. So this form is my mother and father. So this is how Lord Brahma is praying to the Lord and striking a personal connection with the Supreme Lord. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the three major deities, which are the executive heads of the three modes, that is Gunavataras, these three Gunavataras, they come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and uh, who is being glorified here by Lord Brahmaji. So from Kshirodakshai Vishnu, many incarnations expand at different ages in the duration of cosmic manifestation. So there is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. We know the Vishnu expansions. First there is Karanodakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and all forms will be coming from the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So when we see Matsya, Varaha, Kurma, Ityadi, these all forms will be coming this in this agency. This is how the forms appear, right? In the cosmic manifestation at different ages, Satya, Dwapar, Treta, Kali, the forms will come like this. And these forms come only for the transcendental happiness of his devotees, pure devotees. Prahlad Allhadadayine. So to give happiness to Prahlad, the Supreme Lord appeared as Narasimha. Namaste Narasimhaya. What is the reason you came? Prahlad Allhadadayine. The Prahlad Allhadadayine. To give happiness to Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. The side business is to deliver Hiranyakashipu, kill Hiranyakashipu. But the major reason is to give happiness to his pure devotees. And such Vishnu Tattvas, they are distinct from Lord Brahma, who is a Jiva Tattva, and Lord Shiva, who is a Shiva Tattva. And therefore, Lord Vishnu should never be compared with Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. It is not that sometimes people feel Sarvadeva Namaskaram, Keshavam Pratigacchati. Of course, it has a positive connotation and a different connotation as well. But the point is, all devatas are not on the same level. There is Paradevata, Paradevatayam. There are Ishwaras and there is Parameshwara. And therefore, this is one of the major offense against the Supreme Lord. And such a person is called as Pakhandi or infidel if one considers the Supreme Lord to be equal as Brahma or Lord Shiva. Anybody can become Brahma because Brahmaji is a Jiva Tattva. Nobody can become Shiva because Shiva Tattva is distinct. Neither it is Jiva Tattva nor Vishnu Tattva. It is middle situated where there is only Lord Shiva. And absolutely nobody will become the Supreme Lord Vishnu because Vishnu Tattva is different altogether, right? Further, Prabhupada says, there is a Tamasaha and Avarodharasaha. Tamasa is the material nature and Avarodharasa is the spiritual nature. And Brahmaji here says, I am the first living entity born from the Supreme Lord. And this is how he is striking his connection with the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. We come to text 3. Nata param paramadhyad bhavata svarupam anandamatrama vikalpama viddhavarchaha pashyami vishvasrujam एक अविश्वमात्मन् भूतेन्द्रियात्मकमद ते उपाश्रितास्मि. Translation.
O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence, in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yaman yachasmi tattvata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can only be partially known, and only by the process of devotional service to the Lord. Lord Brahma became aware that Supreme Lord Krishna has many, many eternal blissful forms of knowledge. He has described such expansions of Supreme Lord Govinda in the Brahma Samhita 5.33 as follows. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is non-dual and infallible. He is the original cause of all causes, even though he expands in many, many forms. Although he is the oldest personality, he is ever youthful, unaffected by old age. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be known by the academic wisdom of the Vedas. One has to approach the devotee of the Lord to understand him. The only way to understand Lord as he is by devotional service to the Lord, or by approaching the devotee of the Lord who always has the Lord in his heart. By devotional perfection, one can understand that the impersonal Brahma Jyoti is only a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Kṛṣṇa, and that the three Purusha expansions in the material creation are his plenary portions. In the spiritual sky of the Brahma Jyoti, there is no change of various kalpas or millenniums, and there is no creative activities in the Vaikuntha worlds. The influence of time is conspicuous by its absence. The rays of the transcendental body of the Lord, the unlimited Brahma Jyoti, are undeterred by the influence of material energy. In the material world also, the initial creator is the Lord himself. He brings about the creation of Brahma, who becomes a subsequent creator empowered by the Lord.
Further, Lord Brahma says, your form is non different than Brahmajyoti, and I surrender unto you. And then Lord Brahma is describing how the Lord's form is superior to just the Brahmajyoti expansion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that through Bhagavad Gita, we know Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tattvataha. Only by the process of devotional service one can know the Supreme Personality. And now the Lord Brahma is becoming aware of many, many blissful forms of the Supreme Lord. And that's what he summarizes in Brahma Samhita. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. That the forms of the Lord, they are Advaitam. Advaitam means there is no duality in the form of the Lord, like material and spiritual. No, they are non-dual. The body and the, like for a Jiva is called as Dvaita because the Deha and Dehi, they are different. But that is not the case with the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, he and his body, they are non-different. Therefore, he is also called as Advaitam, non-dual. Achyutam, infallible. Anadim, Anantarupam. Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam cha. So, although the Lord is Purana Purusham, the oldest of all, he is still Navayauvanam cha, ever fresh, ever smiling personality. Why? Because it is only the material body which will age along, not the spiritual, not the Satchit Ananda, right? So, he is Purana Purusham and Navayauvanam cha. Vedeshu Durlabham, very rarely obtained from the Vedas, Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau, but one can very quickly realize the Lord from the in the association of the devotees. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. And thus Brahmaji says, I perform devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is Lord Govinda. So the only way to understand the Lord is devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. There is impersonal Brahmajyoti, but this impersonal Brahmajyoti is just the partial representation of the personality. And this impersonal Brahmajyoti is also away from material contamination. The material vikara is not present in the impersonal Brahmajyoti, neither it is present in the Vaikuntha planets. So no creative activity. So no creative activity is from the sense of bhautik vikara, right? Or there is material transformation. So there is no bhautik vikara, which the material world is very famous for ashashvatam, constantly changing. You know, by the time you buy iPhone 14, 15 will come, and by the time you open 15, 16 will come. Okay. Constantly changing. This is the nature of the material world. But this bhautik vikara, so the creative activity is spoken from that connotation, is not there in the neither in the Brahmajyoti nor in the spiritual world. So the Brahmajyoti, spiritual world or in the material world, the initial creator is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna himself. So this is how Lord Brahma is appreciating form of the Lord and taking shelter of the personality of Godhead, personal form of the Lord. Text 4. तद्वाइदं भुवनमङ्गलमङ्गलाय ध्यानेस्मनोदर्शितं तम् उपासकानां तस्मै नमो भगवते अनुवेदतुभ्यं यन्नारित नरकात् भाग्भि असत्प्रसङ्गैः. Translation.
This present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes. Since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. Purport. Regarding the personal and impersonal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personal forms exhibited by the Lord in his different plenary expansions are all for the benediction of all the universes. The personal form of the Lord is also worshipped in meditation as Supersoul Paramatma, but the impersonal Brahmajyoti is not worshipped. Persons who are addicted to the impersonal feature of the Lord, whether in meditation or otherwise, are all pilgrims to hell because, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 12.5, impersonalists simply waste their time in mundane mental speculation because they are addicted more to false arguments than to reality. Therefore, the association of the impersonalist is condemned herewith by Brahma. All the plenary expansions of the personality of Godhead are equally potent as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5.46. Deepar chirevahi dashantaram adhyupetya deepayate vivruta hetu samana dharma yastadriga ivahi cha vishnu taya vibhati govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Lord expands himself as the flames of a fire expand one after another. Although the original flame or Shri Krishna is accepted as Govinda, the Supreme Person, all other expansions such as Rama, Narsimha, and Varaha are as potent as the original Lord. All such expanded forms are transcendental. In the beginning of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it is made clear that the Supreme Truth is eternally uncontaminated by material touch. There is no jugglery of words and activities in the transcendental kingdom of the Lord. All the Lord's forms are transcendental, and such manifestations are ever identical. The particular form of the Lord exhibited to a devotee is not mundane, even though the devotee may retain material desire, nor is it manifest under the influence of material energy, as is foolishly considered by the impersonalists. Impersonalists who consider the transcendental forms of the Lord to be products of the material world are surely destined for hell.
This present form, Lord Brahma says, or any transcendental form. So there are many, many incarnations. Rama, the Murti Shukala, Niyamena Tishtan. Right. So there are many incarnations. This form is equally auspicious for all the universes. Again, the plural here, universes. There's a multiverse theory. You have manifested this form so that devotees can meditate upon these beautiful, wonderful forms. And therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell, now Brahmaji is becoming a little angry here. Those who are pilgrims of the hell, they will neglect your personal form because of speculating on the material topics. So this is a warning by Brahmaji. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the Lord exists, the supreme absolute truth can be realized in three phases. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. So meditation on Paramatma, meditation on Bhagavan feature is wonderful. Meditation on Paramatma feature is also nice, but not meditation on the Brahman feature. Why? Because meditating on the Brahman simply leads one to, Prabhupada says, one simply becomes a pilgrim on the path of the hell. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta asakta chetasam. One who is asakta to the avyakta, in this case, avyakta means Brahmajyoti, klesho adhikatarastesham. Everything is just klesha, klesha and klesha. Avyakta hi gatir dukkham. The gati is dukkha, destination is dukkha. Dehavad biravapyate. And therefore, Brahmaji warns here, do not neglect the personal form of the Lord and get stuck up in the impersonalism. Right. There are many plenary expansions of the Lord, and all these expansions are equally potent. So, there are many names of the Lord, all names are potent. And similarly, there are many expansions of the Lord. What is the difference between expansions of the Lord? The difference is only the rasa in which that particular personality can be approached. Right. Otherwise, there is no difference. It is like the same person in the office dress, same person in the casual home dress, and the rasa may be different. When somebody is coming as a big sahab in the office dress, the dealings are more on the formal level. When the same person is available gardening in his own garden, and the dealings are more personal, right? But personality is same. But all these expansions of the Lord, and therefore it is said, Deeparchira evahi dashantaram abhyupetya Deepayate vivrita hetu samana dharma. Samana dharma means they are equal potent. So just imagine there are candles, and these are inexhaustible candles. All are lit up, say 100 of them. But there is one candle which has first lit up, and it has lit up all other candles. So, first among the equals. So similarly, if you take the normal candles, you know which is the first candle, because by the time you lit up all the remaining 99 candle, the first candle will be exhausted much more. Chota ban jayega wo. Baki candles will be different sizes. Pehla candle chota ban jayega. But now imagine all these candles are there, menbatti, mombatti candles are there, and they are inexhaustible. Nobody is going to deteriorate. No candle is going to deteriorate. And you take the one candle and lit up all other candles. And when you keep all the 100 candles, you know that, oh, all are samana dharma. They are all lighting up, but still there is one amongst the equal, and that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govindam Adi Purusham. Right. Prabhupada says in the beginning of Bhagavatam, the Lord is described as eternally spiritual and uncontaminated by the word jugglery. And further Prabhupada writes, the particular form of the Lord is exhibited to a devotee is not mundane, even though the devotee may retain material desire, nor it is manifest under the influence of the material energy, as foolishly considered by impersonalists. So sometimes people think, yeah, because you have two hands, therefore you imagine a form of the two hands. And because this is according to your imagination, you imagine the form. So Prabhupada says, no, the Lord's form is not subject to the conditioned soul's imagination, the Lord's form is eternally existent and it is confirmed in the Vedas. And deriding such beautiful personal form and attaching to impersonal as avyakta asakta chetasam is surely path destined for hell. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just a curious question, Prabhu. This third canto, first, the picture on the Bhagavatam, it's basically Kaliya Krishna. So, just wanted, is there any relation between this picture and this canto?
Which one?
The picture
First,
Bhagavatam, Prabhu, it's Krishna dancing on Kaliya. The what do you call the cover of this?
Acha, the cover of the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
That's a cover of the Bhagavatam itself.
Is there
Okay.
in the first, but and the last one is Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Okay, cover. No, because Bhagavatam begins with, not to forget, there is a beautiful discussion of, Vidura discussing with Uddhava.
Okay.
And first he remembers all the Vrindavan pastimes.
Oh yeah, right. Yes.
Right. So, because he remembers all the Vrindavan pastimes, he remembers all the pastimes. So, it begins with Vrindavan pastimes. And then the major theme of Sarga Visarga is being continued in third canto.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.